What's up, Forward family? It's BigBossFabo back with a video for the channel, man. I'm actually doing a reaction to Avatar: The Way of Water. 11 things you missed from Screen Rant. So after 13 years, the sequel to Avatar: The Way of Water, finally out in the wild and ready for us to consume with our eyeballs. That's what he put in the description. That was not from me directly. But anyways, man, let me know y'all's thoughts on Avatar. If you've seen it, comment down below. Thoughts, feedback, concerns, put it down in the comment section down below. I actually got the chance to see the movie yesterday, so this is specifically why I'm tapping into this reaction, obviously tying into things I missed, and then subtly but surely inputting my opinion and my feedback on what I thought about the movie. So obviously there's probably some things that I missed, so I'm intrigued to see this. But yeah, let me know y'all's thoughts on the movie if you got a chance to see it. So like, comment, subscribe if you're new to the channel, turn on notifications so you're notified every time I post a video. Check out my playlist page to check out all the reactions I do to date. Let's go ahead and hop right in.
After over 13 years, the sequel to Avatar, The Way of Water, is finally out in the wild. So naturally, that means that it's time for us at Screen Rant to dig into this beast and find what details you might have missed in this landmark piece of cinema. I'm John Aljets. There are spoilers ahead. Let's go ahead and dive right into it. Let's start this video off with something that's actually related to a detail that you might have missed in the original Avatar. You see that? I'm so committed to bringing you guys all the details and Easter eggs that you might not have noticed that I'm literally cramming extra ones in anywhere I can put them. Aren't I just the
Let's
best?
get to it, my boy.
You can feel free to answer, like at any time. Anyways, in the first movie, Sigourney Weaver's Dr. Grace Augustine could be seen wearing a traditional Na'vi necklace. This necklace actually belonged to Neytiri's sister, who passed away at some point before the beginning of the film. It would seem then that she subconsciously passed on her penchant for wearing jewelry from deceased loved ones, as Kiri can be seen wearing a necklace that formerly belonged to her human mother. It's one of many ways that the filmmakers visually tied Kiri and Grace together.
Duh. You all obviously, if you saw the movie, you could tell that that was some type of clone using her DNA. You know, it spoke like her. They try to make it look like her a little bit. Come on, that one was a kind of a no-brainer, my boy.
Something that I'm actually going to be talking a little bit more about later on in this video, so stay tuned for that. Not content continuing to use Unobtainium as the main MacGuffin for the Avatar franchise, Way of Water introduced us to Emerta, an orangish-looking liquid that is extracted from the brainstem of the Tolkun, the large whale-like creatures that the Metkayina Na'vi are spiritually bound to. Said to completely stop human aging, this stuff is around 80 million buckaroos for a small vial of it, which honestly seems like kind of a low price for something that completely stops someone from aging. But what do I know? Maybe inflation isn't going to hit people nearly as hard as we all seem to think it's going to.
Funny guy.
It's going to be bad.
Funny.
Now, the name of the stuff is actually a Sanskrit word that means immortality, which is about as on the nose as you would expect from the people who named an unobtainable rare mineral Unobtainium.
I ain't gonna cap, y'all. I guess this was the mineral they were kind of mining for. They needed that land for, right? That's the original reason why they invaded the Neytiri, or that whatever the clan's name's habitat, so to speak, if I recall correctly. But this is all just coming back to me right now. Honestly, I did not have a clue. I do not recall whatsoever. The whole purpose, like them kind of invading the land, was to actually try to mine some type of sacred mineral.
Now, this isn't the first time that the Sanskrit word has been used in the series. Avatar is actually a word that means the manifestation of divinity in a physical form,
The Last Airbender?
which itself ties directly to another thing that I'm going to talk about a little bit later. Also, bonus details here, when Spider learns that the humans literally only want the goo from the Tolkun's brains, and then dump the rest, he is appalled. This is a reference to a tradition within many native cultures, where every aspect of an animal hunted is used if possible. Something that many European and American settlers failed to do during the 17 and 1800s, when they spread across the plains of North America. You know, only the fun stuff from us here at Screen Rant.
Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, man. Hit the notification bell.
Speaking of fun things, let's move on to something that is actually fun, because, you know, I don't want to bum you guys out too much. You know how for a long time the original Avatar was the highest grossing movie ever, only to be beaten out by this small little indie film called Avengers Endgame? Well, if you know that, then you probably have already noticed that Zoe Saldana is in both of them.
Duh.
Rather prominent roles. Which, I mean, yeah, that's kinda obvious. But did you know that with the release of Way of Water, there is now a second actor with a connection between Avatar and Endgame? Spider's actor, Jack Champion, was also in the history-making superhero flick. But where, I hear you asking? Well, remember when Scott Lang was walking around that run-down neighborhood, trying to piece together what happened in the 5 years that he was in the quantum realm? That kid that rides past him on a bike is none other than Champion himself. It's a small part, not even 30 seconds of screen time, but hey, it's still a solid connection between
he cashed out for it, though.
highest-grossing cinematic franchises of all time.
But he got paid.
Humanity has once again come to Pandora, and brought with them a whole lot more than just some good old-fashioned corporate greed this time around. At one point in the movie, the general oversees...
Bro, the movie 3 hours long. I ain't even gonna lie to y'all, man. Was it completely worth it? No. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man. Before I even saw the movie Avatar, in my personal opinion, it was just like, it's gonna be a watch. I would say, I don't even know what word I want to use, but let's go with this. The vibrance and the detail and the uniqueness of the story originally already sets the standard. There's no way you could have a sequel, in my opinion, with that type of storyline. How do you come back? Regardless if you have an amazing story, do fans even really care to see it? Obviously, box office went up. They do care to see it in terms of sales. But idealistically, the idea, we don't really care. Like, me personally, I don't really care about the idea of a second Avatar. Of course, I'm going to go see it because the first one was great. That's why box office is so high. Because people think they can relive that moment. But I tell you right now, I did not relive one single moment. I did not relive one single moment in the sequel. You know what I'm saying? Nothing like the first.
Operations on Pandora explains to Quaritch that humanity must colonize Pandora beyond the scope originally seen in the first movie, as Earth is pretty much dead at this point. Which, like, yeah, that's a major bummer for obvious reasons. But why choose Pandora? Humans can't even breathe the air. Doesn't seem like the best choice. Anyways, this is when we learn that the name of the city in which operations seem to be based out of is Bridgehead City. Now, that is certainly a cool name, but what does it even mean? Well, Bridgehead is actually a military term, which refers to a secure position occupied by an army inside enemy territory, from which to advance or attack. You might actually be familiar with a similar term, a beachhead. This refers to something similar, but actually means a position on the edge of enemy territory from which to advance. So basically, Bridgehead City is a place built in the middle of an area that humanity deems as hostile. Which, I mean, yeah. They literally reference Pandora seemingly attacking them as if it was some kind of immune response from a living organism.
I'm lost right now. What is he even referring to?
It is certainly a hostile place. Why do they want to settle there again? Is it the orange goo and the rock that they can't get a hold of? It's probably those things. Also, you know, so that we can have a conflict in these movies.
Garutacto! What they call them those?
Back immerses you in a universe with
Noctacto. Buddy was flying the legendary dragon though.
I don't think anyone who saw Avatar The Way of Water missed that Kiri is one giant Jesus allegory. I mean, right out the gate, she is presented to us as effectively a virgin birth, so it's kind of obvious. However, there are some aspects of her religious symbolism that might have just passed you by, as I know that I certainly missed a few that I didn't catch until I started researching for this video. For starters, let's talk about the fact that Kiri, out of all of the Sully children, is the only one who doesn't ever seem to struggle with the whole breathing underwater thing.
Duh, she different, bruh. She like, I think it's the fact that she's so tied in with that spirit. What's the spirit called that's tied to the tree in the forest? Essentially, she receives some type of supernatural blessing, bruh. She can breathe underwater long. She can control nature. Like, she was telling the fish what to do. Like, she was doing all type of stuff that you was like, all right, she got some type of secret power or association, something up her sleeve. I couldn't even tell what it was, but early on in the movie, they make it clear she different. She not like everybody else.
Throughout the movie, the key to holding one's breath is presented to us as being tied to one's ability to stay calm, something that Kiri is seemingly able to do better than anyone. However, she also shows the ability to
Smoking
straight
that
up
dope.
open her mouth underwater. This could be due to her connection to Awa, as we are introduced to a species down in the deep that can help Na'vi breathe down there as well. Presumably something that's made by the divine. So maybe Kiri just has this innate gift as well, or at least, close to it. And that's not all. If you look at Kiri's epileptic episode as a baptism of sorts, its inclusion in the story at all makes a lot more sense. Specifically as a baptism symbolizing intimacy and self-actualization. Right before she has her seizure, Kiri meets her mother and is reassured that she is loved, despite not receiving the answers that she was looking for. Similarly, in the Bible, Jesus' baptism was accompanied by a voice from heaven in which God declared him to be his beloved son. And if you notice from that moment on,
Are they really honestly trying to compare this and tie it into the Messiah? The audacity, the blasphemy right now.
words, Kiri seemed a lot less unsure of things, and actually wound up playing a large part in the climax of the movie, saving quite a few people. She does this by using bioluminescent fish to guide her family out of the sunken whaling vessel, literally bringing light and using it to guide the lost. And
That's a
is
stretch.
actually pretty much how
That's
the
a
New
stretch.
Testament presented Jesus, more as a guide of
Bruh.
sorts.
Move on.
This movie revealed that pretty much every living thing on Pandora gives off some amount of light at night, including the Banshees, those winged carnivores that the Omaticaya use as flying mounts, which at face value might actually seem a little odd. Why would a predator want to give off light in the dark? Wouldn't it be better for them to just be able to sneak up on their prey by giving off no light at all? Well, no, actually. If everything in the entire planet gave off light, it would actually be more suspicious to prey if they saw a spot in the sky that didn't have any lights in it. With lights, the Banshees actually blend in a lot better to their surroundings. See, isn't fictional evolutionary biology just grand?
I have a challenge for all of you. Go to every computer
thought he
in your
was
house,
smart
your
with that
mom's,
one.
your dad's, your sister, your brother's
But he
computer.
thought he was being real
For
clever.
the entirety of the first film, we only ever saw the Omaticaya clan of Na'vi, a small group of jungle-dwelling catfolk whose culture contains elements that are largely based off of those of native societies within the Americas, both north and south. So when the Way of Water took the story away from the trees and floating mountains the Omaticaya call home, out to the sea, it's understandable that the newly introduced Metcaina people would take inspiration from other cultures. Director James Cameron worked directly with Maori actors in order to integrate elements of the indigenous Polynesian people into the Metcaina. This can be seen not only in their tattoos, which are visually similar in form and placement to traditional Maori tattoos, but also with a dance that they do, which resembles a traditional haka dance, adapted to fit Na'vi biology, mostly by including tail and ear movements. It's actually worth pointing out that the connections to the Maori people don't actually stop there, and instead run a lot deeper with the Na'vi, extending even into the first film as well. As when Cameron and co were developing the way in which the Na'vi speak, they actually looked to the Maori language for a lot of inspiration.
They went
So,
deep,
in a lot
though.
of ways, the island peoples are linked directly to the heart of Avatar. Despite being voiced by Sigourney Weaver, a veteran actress, Kiri is basically just a regular teenager. Awkward, lanky, unsure of herself, kinda a hot mess. I'm sure a lot of us could relate to her when we were younger. Hell, a few of us might even relate to her now. However, she didn't always appear this way, apparently. According to Weaver, the original design of Kiri was a lot more put together. It was actually Weaver who petitioned to have Kiri turn into what we got on the big screen. She felt that she was originally, quote, too neat and pretty, and she wanted her to have a messier design to really try to sell the awkwardness of youth. And Kiri's youthfulness was apparently very important to Weaver, who actually went back to high school in order to learn again what it's like to be a teen. She sat in on several classes at LaGuardia High School of
That's crazy though. I understand actors taking their job real serious, method acting, right? I get into the actual real life situation of the character I'm playing so I can depict that character a little bit more. But it's like, bro, you ain't need to go back to high school to figure out how to play a kid. You just read the lines and sound innocent. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. I'm confused. I guess it's a mentality type of thing. I got to be in the mindset of a high schooler. But nah, bro.
Of music
I don't
and
know
art
about that
and
one.
performing arts, simply observing the way the students spoke and behaved. Though, maybe she didn't need to do that, as James Cameron once told her that he felt that she was young at heart already. Weaver said in an interview that Cameron told her, quote, "Nobody else knows this about you, but I know that you're 14 at heart anyway. You're so mature, and yet you're always clowning around. So I have no doubt that you can do this." Aw, that's actually kind of sweet. And just for the record, Weaver totally stole the show as Kiri, so I think it worked out for the best. On Earth, it's common to see members of even the same species develop in slightly different ways due to aspects of the environment that they reside in. This theory is literally the entire basis for evolution. You know, with Darwin and the birds living on those islands and how some of them had different beaks depending on what food was available to them and where. You know what I'm talking about. You probably took high school biology. Well, I guess depending on what community you lived in, you might not actually know what I'm talking about, but just go with me here. The point is, it seems that this rings true not just on Pandora, but also within the Na'vi themselves. The blue cat people introduced in this movie are physically different from the blue cat people we saw in the last one. With the Metcaina, it's easy to notice their seafoam colored skin, contrasting with the darker blue of the Ametakaya. But they also possess thicker arms with fins near the wrist, and a tail better suited for swimming, as opposed to the lankier frame of the Ametakaya, that is better suited for swinging and climbing. Now here's the thing, the Sully children, those born of Avatar parentage, all possess 5 fingers, an evolution. This could play into Kiri's destiny, as it's important to note that Awa, who presumably had something to do with Kiri's birth, could have just had any Na'vi sire her, and yet she chose an Avatar, meaning the child of that Avatar would have that mutation. This makes Kiri a sort of genetic bridge between the Na'vi and the Sky People. Could that be Kiri's entire purpose? The entire reason for her existence?
Bro, all the kids is pretty much an infusion of the two. You know what I mean? Like, she got the powers, she's got the differentiating factor, she got the X factor, but all the kids is pretty much that, you know, like that the new beginning.
Like a lot of things, I guess we'll just kind of have to wait and see. Here's a fun little detail that doesn't really matter at all in the grand scheme of things, but, you know, still cool. If you looked at James Cameron's filmography, you would be forgiven if you thought that the dude loved sequels. I mean, his first movie ever as a director, Piranha 2: The Spawning, was a sequel, and an absolutely ridiculous good time. I recommend sitting down with some friends and giving it a watch sometime. And also one of his most influential films, the movie that spawned an entire genre of space marine related action, Aliens, is a sequel, and my favorite movie of all time. However, Avatar: The Way of Water is actually the first sequel the director has worked on since 1991's Terminator 2: Judgment Day. As a director, I mean. He was technically a producer on Terminator Dark Fate, but that doesn't count. For a multitude of different reasons. Say what you will about the Avatar films, and I'm sure a lot of you can say a lot of stuff, pretty much no one can argue against the fact that Pandora is an exceptionally pretty and vibrant place. And part of what makes it so spectacular is the sheer number of fantastic creatures that call the place home. Animals, plants, all of them are beautifully imagined and designed, making for a visual treat. So much so that being able to be amongst it all physically is a major draw for the attraction within Disney's Animal Kingdom at Disney World, known as Pandora: The World of Avatar. That theme park attraction features 2 rides, Flight of Passage and Na'vi River Journey. Of those 2, Flight of Passage actually introduced a small handful of creatures that made their cinematic debut in the Avatar sequel. At one point on the ride, as audience members fly through the Pandoran skies alongside banshees, they fly near the ocean, and several critters can be spotted by eagle-eyed riders. This actually makes me curious if there are any teases to future Avatar films hidden in that attraction already, or any of the
I think there's a lot of teasers to the future films
stuff there in that theme park.
In the movie
Given
itself.
how planned out the Avatar series is, it honestly wouldn't surprise me. Hey there everybody, I'm John Aljets. I made this video and I want to know what you think. Did you catch all these details in Avatar: The Way of Water? What did you think about the movie in
a
the
lot of
first
them
place?
was dumb. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. That's right there. Avatar: The Way of Water, 11 Things You Missed. And I seen somewhere on IDB they coming out with like 3 or 4 new movies, bro. 2020 all the way up to like 2026 or something like that. I'm not excited. You know, even the way the film ended on The Way of Water, I wasn't like, oh wow, the next Avatar, I can't wait. I'm just kind of like, okay. Yeah, man. Even going into that movie, like I said, I didn't have high hopes for it, and after seeing it, I'm just kind of like, it's decent. It's not all that. So let me know y'all's thoughts on this in the comment section below. What's y'all's opinion? Have y'all seen it yet? This is a spoiler alert. I ain't really dropped too much about the movie. I think a lot of the clips shown in this video kind of do reveal a lot of things, but go ahead and check the movie out for yourselves, man. We'll catch you guys in the next video. We out.